All right, so today we're starting a new unit. We're starting the expressions and equations side. So I gave you a little Google slide and it had numbers like these on it. And I asked you to group them how you thought they might need to be grouped. And I wanted you to notice that some of them are just numbers and some have what we call variables. Variables are um, letters that represent an unknown number. So this variable's x, we have variable y, we have all kinds of variables. They can be any letter, A's, B's, C's, any letter in the alphabet. You can use as to represent an unknown number. So usually I put you in groups and I give you these cards and I have you discuss how you think they should be grouped. But this year we can't because of COVID, so I'm just going to do it like this. You need to have turned in your Google slide where you did it before this video so I can see how you group them and maybe we can talk about how you group them. But we have in previous years, this is how children have grouped them. I have seen where they put any variables together. And sometimes they would have like a group that had variables, and they would have a group that didn't have variables. Remember, variables are those letters that represent unknown numbers. So you may have grouped yours like this. And if you did, that's perfectly fine because this is a learning time. So I could have grouped mine like this, where I had regular numbers, and then I had numbers with variables. I have seen children also group them where they put only the fractions together. And I cut out too many of these for my screen, and then they would make a group that was whole numbers. Make a group that was decimals, any decimals, any fractions. And if you grouped yours like this, that's perfectly fine because we're learning. I have also had people who grouped them where they put just the whole numbers together and all the fractions and decimals together. I've had them grouped like that. I have also had them grouped where they put the X's in a group and the Y's in a group and the fractions in a group and the decimals in a group. But if they had these variables, they would put them together, and that was fine. But the point of this activity is for you to figure out what are like terms, like as in Like. So like terms have to be the same. So these numbers are called coefficients. So this is a variable, this is a coefficient. Coefficient is just the number that goes with the variable. You can also have just a variable, and if you have just a variable, your coefficient is 1. It's an imaginary 1, but it's always 1 if you can't see the coefficient. So the way they should be grouped, you would have whole numbers. And it's okay if they're negative or positive, they're the same, they're whole numbers. You could have variable y, and it doesn't matter if they are decimals or fractions. If they have just a y with them, they can go together. We could have variable x. Like I said, it doesn't matter if they have a decimal or a fraction. If it's got an x with it, it's like, because it has a coefficient and a variable. So we have whole numbers or just regular numbers, and that it doesn't have to be all whole numbers. It can be decimals that are just regular numbers with no variable, because we know what they are. Negative 1/3 could go with the regular numbers. So I also gave you some that was like 6x squared. If it's x squared, then it needs to be combined with other x squares. If it's y squared, and by squared I mean y with a little 2 above it, that means x times x or y times y. If it was 2 with a little 2 above it, that would be 2 times 2. So anyway, if you grouped yours this way, this was the correct way. If you put any regular numbers together, whether they were fractions or all these rational numbers can go together, whole numbers, fractions, decimals, positive or negative, they can be combined. If you put your y's together, rational numbers with the variable y, they can be combined. And if you put your x's together, all your rational numbers with x as a variable, they can be combined together. So the point of this activity is to see how we could group, which terms could we combine. So if I had negative 6x plus 2x, I could absolutely combine those, because I know this is a negative 6x and this is a positive 2x. So my signs are different, so I would subtract and I would get negative 4x. I could also combine 1 and 1/2. They're both positive numbers, so 1 plus 1/2 would be positive 1 and 1/2. And I could also combine negative 5y and positive 3y, and I would get negative 2y. Now, the point of a variable is we don't know what that number is. Sometimes when we get to solving equations, we will find what y is, but at this point, we don't know what it is, so we can simplify. And if we had something like negative 6x minus 5y plus 3y, we could combine these two together and make a negative 2y, but we can't do anything with this x because we don't know what x stands for, and we don't know what y stands for. And we're going to get into this more, so don't freak out on me yet. But the point of this activity is for you to see, what can I combine? So play with that Google form that I gave you, or Google slide, that I gave you, and I gave it to you twice, once for you to do without seeing the video and once for you to do after the video. So go ahead and show me how you can combine the like terms. Remember, like terms are exactly alike. If it has an x, the other terms also have to have an x. If it's just a number, the other terms have to be just a number. And we'll get into this more later. Okay, good luck with that.